So, no surprise, the search in Portugal has come to nothing. I said it would. The information they were working on was very, very sketchy, nothing concrete at all. That area had been searched previously. It was really a pointless exercise, but the Germans wanted to go through it under the direction of the prosecutor, Hans Walters. And of course, he's in a very difficult situation because he knows that Christian B will be released in September unless he can bring any evidence against him in relation to Madeleine McCann. And of course, that's why he's absolutely fixated on him being responsible. I mean, he's convinced, he's told me very clearly, that Christian B is responsible for the murder, the abduction and murder of Madeleine, and he killed her in Portugal. He's got no evidence to support that. That's a hypothesis he's come up with. And actually, as a result of that, he's become so fixated on Christian B, he'd ignored most probably a lot of other evidence or information that's come in. And, you know, we now know from a report in the newspapers today, I don't know if it's true or not, or how, you know, correct it is, but apparently some information came in when the Portuguese asked the Germans to do an undercover operation on a couple. That there's a story that the man ran over and killed Madeleine, and then both of them assisted each other to cover that up. And apparently the Germans refused to do an undercover investigation in relation to that. We don't know how true that is, but of course this is one of the problems when you've got a senior investigating officer or a prosecutor in this case, because they work slightly differently, who's become so fixated on one thing that actually what happens is they set out to prove their hypothesis rather than keeping a total open mind, looking at every piece of information come in. They become absolutely fixated, and all the reviews I've done on miscarriages of justice have been based around, you know, primarily a senior investigating officer who's become fixated to get their evidence to build their case against their one hypothesis, which is their suspect, and they ignore all the other evidence that comes in. So that's where we are. Obviously no further forward. I do find it very interesting when over the last couple of days I've read articles in newspapers and you've got certain individuals out there saying this is really strong information, this is the best, yeah, this is likely to be the breakthrough. Yeah, and I was very clear from the beginning and said it's not going to happen, it's not going to be a breakthrough. I wonder what those people say now, and they think, actually, do you know what, I was wrong. It's an amazing amount of people who seem to know an awful lot about the case but actually know very little about it at all. So will we ever solve Madeleine McCann's disappearance? Well, we have to hope that we will, because, you know, working in the field that I do, I always keep hope that all cases will be solved one day. And of course we have to do that for the families. You know, the families will always keep hope, but the reality of course is, as the days became weeks, became months, and now many years, the chances are very, very slim. And of course I've had so much money invested in the Madeleine McCann disappearance, and it is frustrating. I look at the case and I wonder to myself, how many other cases would have been solved if the same amount of money had been put to the McCann investigation, to those other missing children cases? And this is no criticism to the McCanns, because of course they'll want every penny that's possible spent on them. But it is a reflection on society where some cases just don't get the attention. And if you spend a fraction of, you know, a percentage of the money that's gone into investigating McCann's to, in essence, prove nothing. It's gone no further forward, and it's not even a British case. That's what's most mad about it, is yes, it's a British child, but it's not under British jurisdiction. What about all these cases in the UK that are British jurisdiction, that don't have money ploughed into them? If you put the same amount of money into some of those other missing person cases, you would solve them. I've no doubt about that at all. You know, I'm even working on a case at the moment where there is a body buried of a young, well, at the time she was a young girl, obviously it happened many years ago, and the police won't search. And it's been down to me now to raise the funds to get, you know, somebody on board so that we can go and search and recover that body. And if we recover the body, and I get more information all the time that makes me convinced that that body is there. If we recover the body, we finally give answers to the families. It shouldn't be our job to do that. It should be the police's job to do that. But we're in a society now where, you know, those that are meant to be doing their proper job, you know, police, local authorities, whatever it is, government, just aren't doing it. And it falls down to other people to have to do that. So I've been working on it for a long time now, and I'm getting almost there. I'm almost there to be in a position to undertake a search. And if her body's there and evidence is telling me it's there, but it's got to be done. This is the point. The point is that when the evidence is so strong and the family is saying, please just tell us one way or the other, is it there or not there? We've got to do it. But it falls down to me to have to not only raise that money to be able to do that, but also, sort it all out when it should be the police's job to do that. It is very frustrating. Anyway, that's my that's my rant for today. And I think as far as the McCann case goes, I suspect over the forthcoming days and weeks we'll probably see some more. What it has highlighted, and I've said this so many times, is the relationship between the Germans, the Portuguese and the British is very poor. The British and the Portuguese, when the Germans did their press conference to announce that they believe that Christian B was responsible for the abduction and murder, they got really taken over by that, and both the British and the Portuguese have never commented in relation to that. You can't get a comment out of them to agree that this is a murder investigation. They won't agree that. Germans are convinced, but the British and the Portuguese have really stayed away from that. They will not confirm that it's a murder investigation. So the German prosecutor really is on his own, and he's set out to nail Christian B. Again, not a nice guy, but it doesn't make him a killer. And it gets to a point where surely you have to ask the question, how much longer can the prosecutor still remain in place with that fixated view before you look at it and go, do you know what? Stop. You can't just keep going at this. Anyway, whatever you're doing, look after yourself and take care.